And we are back, ladies and gents, live for our second streamed match of week one of the World Cup of Pokemon VGC, hosted by none other than Victory Road. I am Costa once again, and I am now joined by Mr. JJ Kun. JJ, how you doing, mate?
Well, it's pretty late, on my end. I kind of live at the other end of the world. So, but I am just really excited. I'm just really stoked to see these matches, especially from the games that we've had earlier. I'm just really excited to see the next games. Like, if we are this excited. If this is how excited we got from from the match number one, then what more would we see on matches 2, 3, and 4 moving forward?
Exactly. I mean, it's going to be a cracker, ladies and gents. It is going to be between the Czech Republic versus Malaysia. We're going to go ahead and get the screen up just so we can see current inputted results from both of these teams in their match for this week one. Malaysia is currently in the lead, 2-0 versus Czech Republic, with some very interesting teams there. I see a couple of Tornadoes, a bit of a Shedinja there. And, oh, wow, that's a Nadinadel, I think, JJ.
Right. And, it's really good, just interesting to see how, not season 10, but like Series 10 is bringing out a lot of, experimental. I wouldn't say it's experimental, but like it's bringing out quite the creative side of our players right now. And honestly, I'd like to see more of the teams that basically blows our minds.
Yeah, I mean, as the meta, of course, is now solidifying a bit, as it always does, it's going to be trying to get more centralized. And when you notice the meta centralizing, you do start seeing the slight counter teams, or counter picks, should I say, where they do really well against the current trend of the VGC meta. So you can see a couple of those standouts there. I'm quite intrigued to see Mate use the Metagross there, as Yon was able to actually get that win 2-0 against Mate to put Malaysia 1-0, and then Lim was able to get the win versus Yosef as well. So double horses so far from Czech Republic side. We see Kyoga and Zacian on Malaysia. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what both of these players today are going to be bringing as we get the player profiles rolled up just now. And we have Mr. Michal Souček, aka Tundovnik, a good friend of mine, and a great player as well, manager of Czech Republic. You've seen 65th place in Players Cup 3. He's the champion of the Czech local tournament, Czech Republic being a recent team, still trying to find its feet, kind of like my own team, Greece, as he's going to be rocking the Xerneas Incineroar, Tornadus Incarnate, Thunderous Incarnate, Landorus Incarnate, and the Ditto. JJ, I'm not sure how I feel. I feel like...
Honestly, we always... Honestly, we only see only one of these guys. Only one of the how to say this? One of the trio of these guys, right?
Yeah.
In a team.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
Having all of them is, well, again, this is what creativeness that I'm talking about earlier. This is what is blowing our mind. Like, what's the reason for this?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it is Michal, so if it was going to be anyone, I would have expected it to be him. So I am very intrigued to seeing what he could bring to this. I know he's a great player as well, so I'm absolutely wanting to see how this pans out, as we are going to go over to his opponent for today, who is Ismat Myron, rocking the Xerneas Incineroar, Rillaboom, Volcarona, Regieleki, and the Urshifu Rapid Strike.
Right, and for those who didn't know, Ismat is one of the, arguably, I'd have to say, arguably one of the best players in Southeast Asia. A Malaysian player, of course, is first place in Pokemon Malaysia Regional Championships way back, before the pandemic and everything. Always in the top 8, always top cutting, and I am just really excited to see what Ismat is going to bring into the table, especially now that we are in Victory Road World Cup of Pokemon VGC 2021, and again, anything could happen in this tournament.
Oh, exactly, and Ismat does have that experience from the local events as well. He's done incredibly well in previous years before COVID did strike, of course, and we're all forced to go online. But enough of that, ladies and gents, of these lovely two players. We're going to go straight into the action of our second match today on stream. And like we did say, triple genies over on Michal's side. Wow. So what do you think, just visually looking at this, JJ, on your side? Like, would you initially give an advantage to someone or not?
I mean, it's definitely confusing me right now. I mean, if I were in Ismat's side, I would be thinking, okay, we know that it's usual that we're going to be bringing one genie, but like bringing three of them is going to do a lot of mind games to the opponent. And honestly, that's what I'm feeling right now if I'm going to be going against Michal.
Yeah, I think the Ditto is a very intriguing choice. It has a lot of validity in this meta of restricteds, where you could just suddenly go ahead and say, oh, you know what, I might have one restricted. Let's try to bring VGC 19 Ultra, VGC 16 back. Give me my second restricted, please. Thank you very much. And it's so good to try to counter your opponent, and especially if the opponent's restricted, such as, for example, Xerneas, is already boosted up with Geomancy's boost. So I'm looking forward to seeing how these two match up against each other right now.
And here we have it. It is going to be Michal versus Ismat from Malaysia. And Ismat is going to bring out the Urshifu and the Rillaboom. And into the side of Michal, it is going to be double the genies. It is the Landoros and the Tornadoes. Let's have a champion time.
Let's have a champion in time indeed, JJ. So these leads are quite intriguing, as we're going to be seeing Michal lead with the double genies. It's got the Landorus and the Tornadoes. Tornadoes pairs up very well against both the Urshifu and Rillaboom, but Ismat does have that fake out pressure on his side of the field with the Rillaboom. So I would easily anticipate a double up of sorts, because the Urshifu does essentially cover the Landorus' slot there with the surging strikes that it could easily pick up a KO.
And here we go. First off, coming in with a fake out into that Tornadoes just to prevent it from, getting in some probably a tailwind here. But look at this Surging Strike right now going into, I believe, the Landoros. It is going to be on the Landoros, and this is going to be as well one turn KO. And right now, Ismat is having the lead. What is Michal going to do from this point on?
Well, exactly that. It's kind of like what we were just talking about, where Ismat did have the fake out pressure, and that is all that he needed. Not the best lead for Michal's side there. Ismat was able to take into great consideration what it could be, and it worked for him, especially seeing after how that turn played out. But we do have Michal now actually bringing his restricted on the field, so this could easily go for a Geomancy here, but he does have to be very worried about both Rillaboom and Urshifu trying to double up into the Xerneas slot, as the grass terrain is still on the field, right? Sure, there's a Tornadoes, you could go for Tailwind, but grass terrain's on the field, Grassy Glide has priority, just like we've seen right now, and it targets down the Xerneas.
Right, and following up with that, another Surging Strike is coming in from the side of Ismat, going to hit the Xerneas, wants to take away the Xerneas as soon as possible, not letting it have any Geomancy at all, but it is still going to survive with just 3 HP. Now, Hurricane is coming out into the side of Urshifu, as it is one of the biggest threat right now for the side of Michal, and that is a 1-1 right now for them. But the Dazzling Beam is again going to follow up, and it's still not going to be enough to KO the Rillaboom. This is pretty hype. This is really hyping me up, man.
This is definitely hyping, as a lot of different interactions going on there. That Urshifu, I'm not sure, because that speed interaction absolutely threw a boomerang to the face right there, as normally Tornadoes is naturally faster than the Urshifu, so there's either one of two things happening there. The Urshifu is a Scarf variant, hence why it was able to get an attack off before the Tornadoes, or the Tornadoes is very slow in comparison to that Urshifu. It's more of a bulky variant, but then again, we do have a bit of a sneak peek there. Tornadoes is Focus Sash. They tend to always run max speed, so I think that may have just been a Scarf Urshifu over on that side, and maybe not a Mystic Water variant.
And here we go. The switch up coming in from Michal right now. And I think he knows that there's going to be the fake out pressure, but of course, coming in with the detour right now, getting in ability and getting themselves their own Incineroar here. Of course, there's going to be a fake out pressure as well in their side. But look at this, Intimidate is coming up. Tornado is going to protect. And we're going to see some attacks here into the side of the Xerneas. But oh wait, no, it's not. It's going to be on the Tornado's Glassy Glide right now into the side of the Ditto. Not going to be very effective thanks to that transform into the Incineroar.
Do really like that switch in there of the Ditto. Absolutely taking advantage of that slot, having the Incineroar against it on the other side of the field. You get the Intimidate drop on both the Incineroar and Rillaboom on Ismat's side, whilst also having the fake out pressure immediately after. So making playing more safely right now on Michal's side. He's been playing very aggressive in the first few turns, where he allowed Ismat to try to counter his aggressiveness just with his pure speed tiering of his Pokemon. As we're going to be seeing the Rillaboom actually switch out now.
Right, and let's see what's going to be the Pokemon. It's going to be the Xerneas. I think what Ismat wants to do here is just to bring out the Rillaboom to get the grassy terrain later on, but that is also going to give Michal the Tailwind up to their side. But look at that. Oh, that's gonna be gonna be hard right now, but it is still on the side of Xerneas. But you know, that being said, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be a lot into the side of Xerneas. Maybe if it was on the Rillaboom, then yes, or maybe even on this Cinder not a Cinderace, but the Incineroar, as it is currently at -1. But right now, both of the Pokemon right now is on -1. Another parting shot coming in from Ismat into the Xerneas, going to remove that special attack. -1 right now, into the Xerneas Michal. Then even if Michal now gets the Geomancy, it's only ever going to get +1 on the special attack.
Yeah, and I do like Michal's play of the parting shot into the previous Rillaboom slot, which is now the Xerneas. You cover for that switch in, just in case, and you don't fall bait to maybe try to go for the Flare Blitz, and then just be in a position where you can't do much the following turn, because now Ismat has been able to bring the Rillaboom immediately in after, and maybe Michal's game plan might try to be to copy a Geomancy on Ismat's side with his own Ditto, perhaps.
Right, and here we go. Another fake outs coming into the side of the Rillaboom into the Tornadoes. Dazzling Gleam is going to knock out the Rillaboom, but it doesn't matter at this point, as Rillaboom already did its job. Dazzling Gleam is now coming out. It's going to knock out the Xerneas. A critical hit. It doesn't even need a critical hit. It's going to knock out the Xerneas, but we are now currently at the very low HP into that of Tornadoes. I think this is still a little bit huge of a threat for the side of Ismat. I think he could still be able to do this, especially when he still has the Michal still has the Tailwind up his side.
Yeah, definitely. I think what Michal might have preferred there was if he had actually switched out the Tornadoes into the Ditto, copied the Xerneas on Ismat's side, whilst having the Tornadoes in the back, just in case you do want to get any following taunts or damage, etc. Because right now, you kind of felt forced to lose the Xerneas there, but in anticipation of that, he should have always gone for the switch, in my opinion, out to try to get that Ditto out at least as a Xerneas, even if it is at -1.
Right, but at this point, I think there's just one Dazzling Gleam coming into the side of Xerneas from Ismat, just to be able to take down both of the Pokemon from Michal's side here. And even if it does survive, there's still the Incineroar from the side of Ismat that could deal, the follow-up damage. So at this point, I think it is now down to, say, maybe some RNG here missing that hit, but the fake out's coming into the side of Tornadoes just to be able to make sure that Ismat is going to take down the Tornadoes at this point. But yes, it's normal here, and it's going to reduce the special attack into the side of Xerneas, but it's still going to be a super effective hit. So let's see how much damage it actually does into the hit, and that is still a critical hit into the side of the Ditto. Of course, now Incineroar, and now it is a 2-1 situation. What can Michal do here? I think there's nothing else that he could do. I think this is pretty much a game for Ismat, and he just needs to think about the next game.
Well, yeah, even if the Xerneas is at -2 right now, the special attack, it's just the fact that the Incineroar, it can't do as much. Sure, maybe if there wasn't as much damage output on Ismat's side, and he did have more HP, and there wasn't an Incineroar as well on Ismat's side, then maybe he'd have a bit better of a chance, but this is just going to be pure damage coming out from Ismat's side right now. It's all about resources, as unfortunately Michal did end up running out of it there.
Right, and this is what I've been saying. There's gonna be a follow-up damage into the Incineroar, but it is still not enough to take down the Ditto. Actually, that is actually quite huge. But now that the Tailwind is now out, Incineroar and Xerneas into the side of Ismat is gonna be the faster one here. Fake out, of course, just to check out which attack is going to come out, just to buy themselves some time to think for the next game, and this is going to be game number 1 for Ismat.
Yeah, Ismat's going to go ahead and get that first game under his belt right now. So a couple of situations there that I felt could have been a bit better were from Michal's side. I felt like he did play quite well. I would definitely say that Ismat had the advantage of the lead. He just had so much pressure he could exert from the get-go, and that already put Michal in a horrible situation where he either had to go for a switch-in straight away, or he had to do some sort of repositioning. And maybe Michal thought that Ismat would expect him to make that adaptation and kind of play passive on his side, but Ismat said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go straight for the damage, straight for the pressure. I have the pressure, the offensive pressure, so I might as well take advantage of it, and that is what we saw right there. So I am wanting to see how Michal is going to adapt against this, as honestly, I expect Ismat to bring the same thing. He has no reason not to bring it. It just covers quite a few different interactions of Michal's team components there. So maybe going for setup in some way, shape or form on Michal's side might be his way out. He does have a Xerneas of his own, and he does have that Ditto. He just needs to bring it in the exact precise moment to change the dynamics of the game, essentially.
Right, and it's really interesting to see, you know, like one of the things that actually got into the advantage of Ismat earlier in the first game was that he was immediately able to take down the Landors, and that actually kind of made the domino effect into Ismat. Even when Ismat did some mistakes, he was able to immediately bounce back from that. And right now, hopefully, the adjustment is coming in from the side of Michal, and this is it. Game number 2, guys. Ismat versus Michal, Czech Republic versus Malaysia. Let's find out who is going to be their leads for this game number 2. Let us have a champion time.
Have a champion time indeed, as we see the Rillaboom and Urshifu once again from Ismat's side. No real reason to change it up, of course, like we did just mention, as we do see the adaptation from Michal's side. We see the Incineroar and the Xerneas. So kind of like what we were just talking about, we need the immediate setup some way, shape or form on Michal's side, because he needs to be able to exert his own pressure onto Ismat's side. He's just got a lot of pressure with this matchup, with these leads, as the Incineroar can be highly threatened here. And it's still open to a fake out, so I'm not sure. Maybe a switch out on Michal's side might be needed here in anticipation of a fake out, whilst also protecting. I think you need to try to reposition against Ismat. He still has that pressure on the field with a fake out.
Right, but I really like Incineroar here. You know, like he was able to anticipate this, that Ismat is going to send out the same leads, and now of course it is now down into -1 for both of the teams. For both of the Pokemon in the side of Ismat. Urshifu with the Surging Strike, even if it does, you know, all critical hits, it's not going to guarantee the KO now, like it did earlier. But right now we're going to be seeing some switch in here from Michal, and it is going to be the Ditto here. And copying that Urshifu, getting themselves their own version of the Surging Strike. But right now, Fake Out is going to go in to the Xerneas, as like what happened earlier. Ismat wants to get rid of the Xerneas as soon as possible, does not want it to set up, and right now it is not going to be enough to get the KO. And even then earlier, right, in game number 1, it wasn't still able to take down the Xerneas at turn number 1 and left like 3 HP if I remember correctly. But now with the -1, then it definitely guarantees it not going to go down.
Yeah, and that is a solid play from Ismat there. He completely ignored the Incineroar. He wanted to focus down on the Xerneas. He knows that is Michal's game plan right now, his strategy to go for the win. So from Michal's side, obviously it would have been better if he switched the Ditto in onto the other side with the Rillaboom. But of course, Ismat just played a really good turn 1 there. And Michal's going to have to try to bring it back. And he tries to with the Incineroar of his own now.
Right, and now that Incineroar is once again back into the field, Pokemon in Ismat's side is currently -2. Now, Grass Light is not going to be able to deal as much damage as we would expect, especially now that it is not a very effective hit into the Incineroar. Going now into the Surging Strike, it's not. Oh wait, I think it's going. Yeah, no. Wow, I am in conflict with myself. It is not going to be enough with the -2 to take down Tornadoes. I think, though, it is going to be it would have been enough if it only had -1. But with -2, of course, now it's going to guarantee, I believe, a tailwind here. Just to be able to make sure that Michal here has the speed control over Ismat.
Well, yeah, and let's not forget that is a Choice Scarf Urshifu as well, so its only job is to honestly sit there and just click Surging Strikes right now. Nothing is threatening it, and that is the issue that Michal has against Ismat right now. He doesn't have that pressure to try to shut down that Urshifu. Yes, the Xerneas is a very good way to do that, but he needed to make the reposition there and get the Ditto in onto the Rillaboom slot so you could immediately threaten Ismat's Urshifu with a Grassy Glide as well. So it's quite close between both players, but I would say Ismat right now is taking advantage of the board position much better in this situation, as we see Tornadoes go for the Tailwind.
Right, and here we have it. Another Surging Strike is coming into the side of Ismat, and it is going to be. Is it going to be? Yeah, it is going to be enough to take down the Incineroar. Triple hit, of course, guaranteed, and a critical hit. But there's still the berry. I didn't see that coming, and we didn't see the Mago Berry earlier. And of course, that is going to make sure that the Incineroar is going to survive. But even then, we still have the Incineroar into the side of Ismat. Can have some follow-up damage here, but the Flare Blitz is not going to deal a lot of damage into the Incineroar. Very good switch in from the side of Ismat, and the recoil down is still not going to be enough though to take down the Incineroar.
Yeah, as that was a very good switch out there, switching of the Incineroar. Ismat has all of the momentum on his side of the field. He's just been able to successfully chip away at all of Michal's Pokemon right now, bring him within range of even priority Grassy Glides, to be honest. But when do you need that? When you've got a Choice Scarf Urshifu Rapid Strike, just going ahead, clicking buttons, not being threatened at all. He recognizes that, he switches it out, he wants to preserve it for future turns, and he brings that Rillaboom in for Fake Out pressure following turn.
Right, that is actually quite interesting. That Ismat is going to bring down, sorry, not bring down, but like switch out the Urshifu. Again, as you mentioned, it is on, it is going to have its priority up anyway. So if if Ismat decides to bring it out later in the game, he just needs to press another Surging Strike and still get the crits without the -1s, or well, -2 at that point earlier before he actually switched that out and deal enormous amount of damage. And now we have the Incineroar going to intimidate, of course, both of the Pokemon here. And at this point, I think Ismat just needs to bring out the Urshifu once again and just press the Surging Strike, and this is looking like a huge advantage for Ismat.
Oh, definitely. I think it's just all about that lead that unfortunately Michal has not been able to try to counter. It's a very tough one because matchup is such an important thing when it comes to VGC. You either have it, you don't, or it's neutral. It's as simple as that. So we're going to be seeing the Rillaboom, the Ditto, transformed into Rillaboom, go for a U-turn onto the opposing Rillaboom.
Yep, and we are now going to see the Xerneas that is being kept at the back. Is this going to be the turn that... is the next turn going to be the turn that Xerneas finally gets its Geomancy. Let's find out if it still survives this turn, as Michal is going to go in for the Flare Blitz, going to be able to KO the Rillaboom, and now making sure that Ismat is going to bring out the Urshifu once again, but that is also going to be enough to get the KO of the Incineroar for the side of Michal. Now, Parting Shot is going to be the move here, -1 immediately after it gets in. So again, even when it uses Geomancy, it's only ever going to get +1 on special attack.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So Ismat, we've just seen the general core of Incineroar, Rillaboom, Urshifu do so well. I think it's one of the best cores, and I've heard someone else say it the other day too, that we've ever seen in VGC, with the amount of flexibility and offensive pressure whilst having the fake out disruption on the field too. It's just incredibly solid as a core. And you've seen on Ismat's side, he's only needed those 3 Pokemon to try to run away and gain so much momentum against Michal's Pokemon right now, which unfortunately don't have as many answers to that core. He has brought the Ditto though, to be honest, so it's Xerneas, should I say Urshifu against Urshifu, but I think at this point, unfortunately, the Xerneas on Michal's side has just taken too much damage. Even if it gets a Geomancy up, it's gonna still be threatened by the opponent's Xerneas or even the Rillaboom, and oh no, sorry, apologies. The Rillaboom is now KO'd, so maybe fake out from the Incineroar on the back.
Right, and at this point, we just basically guarantees that, Ismat basically guarantees to KO the Xerneas. So as we saw, Michal is just going to go in all offensive, regardless with the -1, because he's not even going to get any setups at all anymore at this point. But of course, we have to take a look as well into the Ditto of Michal here with the Urshifu. He now has access to the Surging Strike, and it is going to be what's going to happen. Surging Strikes into the Xerneas, but it's still not going to be enough though to deal a lot of damage, but it was able to bring it down into half health. Xerneas right now going to be into the Dazzling Gleam, still not enough to take down the Urshifu, and now Ismat is retaliating with its own -+0 Surging Strike, going to be enough to take down the Xerneas this turn, and this is a huge turn for Ismat. And now we also have the Xerneas into the side of Ismat, going in for the Geomancy, +2 in special attack, special defense, and the speed. And at this point, Ismat is just securing the win.
Yeah, he definitely is. Michal did, of course, have Tailwind on his side. That's why you did see the Urshifu and Xerneas outspeed the Scarf Urshifu over on Ismat's side. So there was maybe some sort of chance he could somehow bring this back, because having Ditto transform into Urshifu, Rapid Strike, full HP, even have a berry on top, is very resourceful. But you needed to try to make sure you could get that KO onto Urshifu, so it may have a bit of bulk added to it. But then again, Xerneas, unfortunately, was at -1. If it was at neutral, it would have been able to secure the KO, even potentially the double.
Right, but at the same time, we also have to take note that the Pokemon at the back of Ismat is still the Incineroar. There's still a fake out pressure, which just guaranteed Xerneas to deal a lot of damage. And just now, with a +2, it is going to be enough. Sorry, it is going to be enough to take down the final Pokemon from Michal's side, and Ismat just takes this game 2-0.
2-0, exactly to nil. So Malaysia being able to be pushed forward 3-0 versus Czech Republic there, thanks to Ismat. Very well played from Ismat. He made the plays that he had to in the situation that his Pokemon were, the board of play was. But I'm going to be honest, I do think the matchup was not the best for Michal. You could just see Ismat didn't have too much of an issue establishing dominance on the field, because he had that very simple core of the Urshifu Rapid Strike. You've got the Rillaboom and the Incineroar. He doesn't even need the Xerneas in this matchup, and that just goes to show how tough it is to try to bring it back. So from Michal's side, I would have definitely liked seeing the Ditto transform into Rillaboom much earlier on in game 2 there, because he would have had the advantage of threatening the Urshifu. You've got Fake Out as well, and then you can try to reposition, get your own Xerneas set up through Geomancy. It's just those the constant pivoting over on Ismat's side that unfortunately I don't think Michal's side could take. It just couldn't take the pressure off. It was just just too much offense, too much synergy on his side. But for what he could do, very well played, and of course, incredibly well played from Ismat. You just saw he felt
Right.
he knows the team. He knows the team. He knows how it operates. He knows how to go up against certain matchups, and that could understandably be told on stream. So huge props to them. And I mean, that was great. That was honestly great. What do you think, JJ?
Yeah, man. Like I want to give props as well to Ismat. You know, we've seen in game number 2 that at the early rounds or at the early turns, Ismat was looking a little bit, you know, the game was looking a little bit too bad on Ismat's side, but he was able to bounce back immediately from there. And as you mentioned, the game plan was simple. He doesn't need any, you know, any complicated things in mind as a game plan. He just needs to press the surging strikes, and that's it. That was one of the main things that got Ismat through this game, as you just mentioned. And with that, we have to give props to Ismat for just bouncing back from all the disadvantages that he was on, and still got the win 2-0.
Exactly. So what we are going to be doing, ladies and gents, we're going to be going on a very short break once again before we are going to be previewing the third stream match of the day, which is going to be again between the United States of America versus New Zealand. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back.